This is a 2018 Honda Accord Sport model, and I'm going to install a Garmin Mini 2 dash cam in it. For this installation, I'm going to be making use of the compartment that's directly below the temperature control on the center console. And just a reminder that this video is specific to a Garmin camera. So if your cable is different than a Garmin camera, the camera end of the cable, then you may have to modify the hole that's in the back of the tray that I'm going to be using. So the first step would be to remove this rubber mat inside the compartment, and it's mounted with 7 little rubber grommets that you see here inside a rectangular hole. And we're going to be making use of the very back right hole. And if you notice, I've already decided how I'm going to do this, and that is to use the far back right or passenger side hole. And it just so happens that the hole is a perfect fit for the camera end of the cable. So this will fit through that back hole, and it'll go underneath the tray, and there's a ton of room under there. So once that string was pushed through that hole a little bit, so what I did is I pulled back on the bottom of the right hand console, and using a mirror, I'm going to see if I can find that little yellow string, or that little pink string. And I don't know if you can see it in the mirror, but I can see it right there. Not sure you can see it, but I definitely can see it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little wire with a hook on it, or you can use a set of grabbers, and I'm going to grab that little piece of pink string and pull it through. And there it is. So now I'm going to try to fish the camera end of the cable through that back hole down into the bottom of the console's trim piece on the right side. And what you want to make sure you do is that your cable is laid out straight. You don't want to be trying to untangle it while you're pulling it through the hole. So first thing I'm going to do is put the camera end through that hole, and then I will pull the pink string into the hole and pull it out. When you've pulled the cable through the center console, make sure you leave enough room at the plug end to connect it to the power source. You can run the cable underneath the base of the center console, up and around behind this panel, up underneath this little bump out into, there's a hole right here that you can run the cable to. And it's something like this. It's so easy. And there it is. So now you're going to go to the camera end and route it from the camera back to this point. Any excess that you have as far as cable goes will just get stuffed up in this little hole right here. Okay, so I used a 3/16 drill bit using a backer board, and I did it upside down, making sure I was doing the right hole. And then so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a razor knife and cut it from the back straight to the hole so that I can fish the wire through there with the least amount of damage to the rubber mat. So you can see is what I did is in the back, I just used a razor knife and slit the rubber mat and was able to fish the cable through. And as you can see, it fits. It's very nice. And the piece comes back together again. So what I'm going to do is put a piece of tape, electrical tape, on the back, so just to keep it in place. I'm back in the car, and now all I'm going to be doing is putting the cable through the slot, pushing it through into the hole, just like that. And then I'm going to use a little piece of electrical tape on the back side to keep it together. And that's what it would look like with the little piece of tape on the back. Can't even hardly tell that there was anything done to this mat. And that is the finished product. I put some electrical tape on the cable to keep it up and out of the way. Hopefully it'll last for a while. If not, I'll use some two-way tape and try to get it to stick on a little better with some zip tie fasteners for electronics. With the power cable routed from the 12-volt outlet through the console, now it's time to start the camera end of the installation of the cable. Mounted the camera where it's out of the way, and left enough slack to go from where it connects to the camera up into the sensor housing. I believe this is a camera housing, and it goes up inside. There's room between the windshield glass and the housing to get it inside the housing. And I'm not sure if you can see it right there. And then this car is really nice because there's a ton of room between the glass and the headliner. In fact, you can see how much room is in there. It's got to be at least half an inch. So run the cable down through the headliner, and there is a lot of room between the glass. Well, there's not a lot of room, but there's enough room between the glass and the A-pillar trim. Turn it down. I used a popsicle stick to push it in where it got tight, and it ran down to the bottom of the A-pillar, between the dashboard and the A-pillar, around the corner. Let me get the flashlight over here. Down between the A-pillar and the dashboard, and you'll see it come out of the dashboard right there. And that's the only time you're going to see any cable. And then down between the weather strip and there is a place, an opening between the top of the dashboard or the bottom of the dashboard and the kick panel trim into that. And then underneath the dash, you'll need some tape to tape it up underneath there. There's a little slot you can use. And then down onto the floor. The cable should run right underneath the glove compartment, through this little gap right here near this bump out, down around the top of it. And any excess that you have, and you should have about maybe 1.5 feet of excess cable remaining, you can just push it right through this little hole right here, and it will be out of sight, and you will be done with your install.